Before we get into today's video, can we appreciate Trophy Wife for a little bit? Rihanna does it so well. Hello humans, my name is Shimin. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here, and if you are, I talk about books, movies, TV shows, pop culture, anything and everything in between, so subscribe if you would like to join in on the conversation. Last week was a rant video. But I'm not like that all the time. I promise you I can be nice, and to prove that, not to prove that, I've been dying to talk about this book anyway. We are gonna talk about possibly one of my favorites. The more I think about this book, just spoiled it. The more I think about this book, the better this book gets. It is Muse of Nightmares by Laini. This is her second and final book in the Stranger Dreamer duology. The people who have seen my first video and they didn't see this in my favorite series, I didn't know whether to put this in my favorite series. Do duologies count as series? I've got my Muse of Nightmares right here. I started using this. Can we just talk about how cute this is? Stranger Dreamer follows two characters. I'm only going to tell you about one of the characters because I believe the other one, if you read it, that's a better way to find out. And I also believe it's kind of spoilery, so yeah, I'm not going to tell you about the other one. The main protagonist, or one of the main characters, his name is Laszlo Strange. He's 21 years old. He's a librarian. He grew up an orphan. He is an orphan. He grew up in a city called Zosma. Because this is a fantasy book, a lot of the names, a lot of the words are really difficult to pronounce. So just get ready for me to mispronounce practically everything. He is obsessed with this mystical city called Weep. He has basically learned all the cultures of Weep, the history, the language of Weep, as much as he could have. I think I should probably close the window. No one believes that this city exists because no one has heard from the city in over 200 years. Weep is not actually the city's real name. The city's real name got lost 15 years ago because of something, and then the city's name got replaced with Weep. But one day a convoy from the city comes looking for like smart people to help them solve a problem, and Laszlo wants to obviously go, so we follow him on that journey. We find out what the problem is in Weep. We follow a second character, which again I'm not going to tell you about because it's kind of spoilery, but yeah, that's basically what Strange Dreamer is about. In Strange Dreamer, what happens is obviously we meet Laszlo, we meet Sarai, who's like, I don't know how I was shipping every single other couple without knowing them. No one holds a candle to Laszlo and Sarai. Muse starts right after Stranger Dreamer leaves off, where Sarai is dead. Minia holds Sarai's string so she can basically control Sarai, and by controlling Sarai, she can now control Laszlo. And obviously we've met our characters, we've met Thionero and Calixte. This is the one name I've had trouble pronouncing the entire series. If somehow Laini Taylor's watching this, why? Also, my copy of Muse of Nightmares is actually signed, which is amazing. I met her, she was lovely, and I asked her about the covers because her covers, the book covers, are so gorgeous. Muse of Nightmares starts right after, and it kind of delves into more of the lore of the world, and it tries to solve, the Minia problem where, Minia wants to go down into Weep and kill basically everyone, but we don't want to do that. My favorite part of both books was the writing style. It is absolutely gorgeous. You just have to read it to understand what I'm talking about. Now, I want to give you some examples. These are spoiler free, so don't worry, I haven't gotten into Muse of Nightmares spoilers yet. She gave the words back to him, murmuring, and kept them too. You could do that. Give them back and keep them. I love you is generous that way. I'm Mr. Lonely. I have nobody. There are amazing books out there, but there are some writing styles, when you read them, it changes you as a human being. It changes you in your core. I just straight up started bawling. I cry very easily in books, so that's the theme you're gonna see in this channel. And one of my favorite parts of the entire book, Laini delves into, I hope I'm saying her name right, oh my god, can you imagine? Fertility, sexuality, strength, and the ability to create and nurture life. Those were the powers of a woman, and the ink honored them. So basically what happens is, in Weep, when girls come of age, they get a tattoo around their belly button, and it's adorable. You get to choose, you know, what tattoo you get, and it's just such a cool idea. I want that. Now I want a tattoo around my belly button. But anyway, and the ink honored them, connecting them with all their foremothers going back hundreds of years. But it was about more than fertility. Sarai sensed it. It was a ripening, yes, but not just for the purpose of bearing children or being a wife. It represented a claiming of oneself, stepping forth from childhood and all the ways we were I can't speak. Stepping forth from childhood and all the ways we were shaped by others to choose and make a new shape, all on one's own. And she'd wondered, what shape would she choose if she were free to do so? I mean, I'm not doing it justice by just picking a few quotes, but you just have to read it to understand how good the writing style is, man. The plot is so well written and so well paced, and there are like these storylines, you know, they're running parallel to each other, and you think that, oh, they have nothing to do with each other. You just go back to the other storyline thinking that, oh, this probably has nothing to do with it, or we're just here probably for the characters. But then you understand at the end when the storylines are connecting, and you're like, oh my god, I can see it. I see it connect together like a bigger picture. Then when it actually happens, you get chills on your spine. Like, you can see like the hints drop, the foreshadowing is so well done, and then when she actually reveals everything, it's so much bigger than you could have anticipated. And on top of that, Weep and all the other places that we're in, they're so rich and they feel lived in, they feel real, they feel exquisite, they're gorgeous worlds, and I want to go to Weep so bad. If Laini Taylor ever watches this, which probably wouldn't happen, but is Weep based on a real city? I want to know, because if it is, I'm going there and I'm living there. Also, there are 2 made-up languages in this book, just like Dothraki and Valyrian in Game of Thrones. Like, after I finished reading the book, I was like, oh, now I'm gonna miss it. And then I turned to this page and I was like, oh yeah. This is not really a spoiler, but like, I decoded the language and like I wrote my own name, and then I decoded some other stuff which I will get into later. But that was really fun. That was a really fun addition. Let's talk about the characters real quick, because holy macaroni. You think, you know, you have heroes and villains, especially in a fantasy series, you'd have heroes and villains. I don't think that this series has a It does. We'll get to that later. They're so well built, they're so well developed, and you understand their backstory so much, they don't feel like villains. You totally understand where they're coming from. You totally understand why they're doing what they're doing. And there are times when you're like, yeah, I'm totally with you. Let's go do it. They make Thanos look like that guy from Thor: The Dark World. What's his name? The Dark Elves. Malachi. Is his name Malachi? Malachi from Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, they make Thanos look like that stupid villain. I love them. You know, at that point when like Minya's obviously controlling Sarai because she wants something from Laszlo. Minya wants Laszlo to control the Citadel. Yeah, why am I forgetting everything about this book already? So they can go down and basically kill everyone, take revenge on what the humans did to the Godsworns like 15 years ago. There are some really horrifying moments in this book, man. That point when Laszlo and Sarai are kissing and they're just making out in their own room, and Sarai bites down on Laszlo's lip and just makes him bleed. Since then, I'm scared to bite on anyone's lip. As if I'm biting on anyone's lip. And then that scene when Minya was telling Laszlo, you're gonna take me down now, otherwise I'm gonna let Sarai go. She actually controls her. Minya's powers, let's just talk about her powers for a little bit, shall we? Because holy f***, her powers are so nuanced, so complicated. She uses them so subtly, and you fail to realize that this little kid, I mean, mentally she is like 20, 21 years old, but she still looks like a 6-year-old. And this 6-year-old 6-year-old kid has such control over her powers. It's terrifying. You know, the whole time they're like, oh, like Minya can control the ghost, she can make the ghost do whatever she wants, but she can't control the ghost's eyes. But Minya can. She can control the ghost's eyes, she can control the ghost's expressions, but she never did because she wanted them to think that way. She wanted the kids to know that she had that one weakness because she wanted that one up on them. Even though Minya made them promise to not use their powers on each other, then she starts using her own power over Sarai, because then she starts controlling Sarai's expression, makes Sarai beg Laszlo to not let her go, but obviously Laszlo doesn't fall for it because he understands what Sarai wants. He understands that even though, yes, they want to be together, their love doesn't come before other people's lives. Even though she was basically torturing Laszlo with Sarai's facial expressions and begging and everything, Laszlo didn't fall for it. And I fucking love these two. When they talk about how Sarai is the protector of Laszlo's lips, but she's a very poor protector because she just keeps kissing. Why am I so alone? Can we just talk about how, you know, how Errol Fane and Azarin and Errol Fane's mum, what's her name? I am terrible with remembering names. Suhaila, they all go up to the Citadel, and then Errol Fane finally meets his long-lost daughter Sarai, and I'm just sobbing. They meet, and then half an hour later, Errol Fane dies. Errol Fane and Azarin, they die, and I'm like, are you kidding me? How dare you? How dare you kill off this character 30 minutes after he got to meet his long-lost daughter? Like, this is the point. And the other point was when Minya made Sarai bite Laszlo's lip when they were making out, was when I just put down the book, and I was so mad and I was so upset. I did not read like for half an hour, and then I started reading again because I was too bored. Anyway, let's talk about Sparrow real quick. This girl is probably the most powerful out of all of those kids. She can bring people back from the dead. Sparrow's gifts the whole time were that she can grow plants, but when she tried to heal Laszlo's lip, I had this inkling. I was like, this is not, and especially because we were told that the Godspawn's gifts, they develop over time. They kind of develop different facets of their gifts over time. I saw that little kernel of her gift. I did not think that we were going to get to it so quickly. I did not think that she was going to use those gifts to bring back Errol Fane and Azarin. But I think this is the only criticism I have of this book, because at this point now, if someone dies, you will just be like, oh yeah, we've got Sparrow, so like, you know, let's just use her and bring them back. So there's no real anxiety. You know that anxiety you feel when your favorite character is at peril? There's no anxiety at that point. So that's the only criticism I have, that I'm gonna lose that. But I do trust Laini. I trust her with coming up with some sort of limitation for her powers. Let's talk about the new characters that we were introduced to. We meet Cora and Nova in this, and immediately I love them. They're in this really bleak area of the world where women basically have no rights whatsoever, where girls are married off, but you know, it's kind of seen as a burden, like they just have to be married off, they don't have any other opportunities. But it's so heartwarming to see these two sisters just come together and keep each other alive in a way. And then Scarthus, that piece of, and then Scarthus comes, who is the commander of a ship. He comes to take these kids away. He comes to test their powers, their Masathian powers. And at this point, I am confused AF. I'm like, is this in the future? Is this in the past? I didn't realize this was in the past until we realized that Scarthus is on the ship. That Scarthus is the smith of the ship. Smith being the ones who can control the metal that the ship is made of. No one else can. So they're considered to be like the most powerful of the, or one of the most powerful, one of the most important gifts sought out. So they come to Cora and Nova's village to look for kids with gifts, basically. And Cora and Nova's mum had like earthquake. The way they described her powers, it was like earthquake powers. Oh my god, you know what she reminds me of? She reminds me of Hades from the Percy Jackson series. You know, didn't he cause the earthquakes in California in the first book? Anyway, and she was a really powerful Masathian. Masathian? She was a really powerful god. So they tested them first. They find out that Cora is an astral, meaning that she can put out a projection of herself into the world and she can go in other places without leaving her body. She's an eagle, a white eagle. Is she in White Eagle? Yeah, she's in White Eagle, which explains why, you know. So they are obviously really prized because you can go and spy on your enemies. And then Nova's power is a pirate. So what that means is she can steal other people's powers, which is the coolest power I've ever heard of. I want that power. I mean, it's dangerous to have that power, but I want that power. They leave Nova alone, but they take Korra. So they separate the sisters, learning their story and seeing how Nova basically, you know, was left behind, and then she was married off to this old man. Like, the 17-year-old child was married off to this 44-year-old man by her dad and her stepmother. She was married off for 3 bronze coins. Her worth, her whole life, her hopes, her dreams, her body, her mind, everything apparently was only worth 3 bronze coins. Can you imagine? I broke down when I read that scene. I felt for her so much, and at this point we don't know who she is. We don't know how she is connected to the main storyline yet. We don't know that she's the villain yet. But at that point when she escapes her husband by using her husband's powers, so she steals their powers, she increases the magnitude, she takes her husband and her dad with her, she walks across the frozen ocean and escapes to the capital. The moment she escaped and she ran and she was freed, that was the best part of the entire book, and this was the villain. Holy that was so satisfying. Let's talk about how these kids, they're essentially paying for their parents' actions. And it's heartbreaking to watch that. These Godspawns, they come to Weep. They escape from the capital of Korra and Nova's world. They take all the metal, all the Misarthim from that world, and then using a portal, they jump to another world. I saw the portal thing coming, didn't see the whole jumping portal thing to Weep part coming. They come to Weep and then they start breeding with the women in Weep, the humans in Weep, because some of the men were abducted too. And then when kids were born, Scathis would go through the portal and he would sell these kids into slavery in like war camps. I didn't think he was going to be that bad in Strange Dreamer. The more we learned about him in this book, the worse he got. And they find like a book of every single kid Scathis sold. And then at the end, they're going to, you know, go through every single portal and they're going to find these kids and they're going to free them. Finally, those kids are going to be freed, and they're going to be freed by Scathis' son, Laszlo. Everything that's been happening is happening because of what Scathis and Isagol and not Korako, because she was kind of enslaved as well, but what all of these gods did. And then you have Minya, who is kind of portrayed as a villain, but then she just wants to, obviously the humans overthrew the gods and the goddesses and killed basically all of them. They killed all the kids in the nursery as well, which was heartbreaking to read. You see Minya living through that over and over and over again. Like, her nightmares, that's the same nightmare she has been having for 15 years, which is why she isn't growing up. But oh my god, so of course Minya wants revenge on the humans because she saw kids getting killed and she has had to bring up these kids on her own as a 5-year-old child. Sarai trying to go through her nightmares so she can help Minya in one way or another. My god, that was hard to read. That was really hard to read. It feels like there is no right or wrong in this conflict. It's such a complicated storyline. It's such a complicated conflict to take care of because it feels like it's no one's fault. It's the situation's fault, and you don't know how to fix this. So Nova comes to Weep looking for Korra because Korra was taken away by Scathis, and then she has been searching for Korra for 200 years. Wow. The only thing she has focused on for 200 years is looking for Korra, is finding Korra. She hasn't done anything else. She's been freeing slaves across every single realm. She's been going from world to world to world, freeing slaves and just looking for Korra. Then she gets to Weep and she finds out that Korra is dead, and the reason for Korra's death is Errol Fane. What do you think she's gonna do? She's gone crazy. You expected her to just be like, oh, she's dead. Okay, that's fine. No, of course she's gonna kill Errol Fane. Minya goes into Nova's dreams to help her work through her issues because that's the root of the problem. We're not trying to kill her, we're trying to save her at this point. We're trying to save our villains, which is again beautiful. It works, kind of. Nova frees everyone, but then she just jumps off the citadel, and that was the first time she smiled peacefully. In 200 years, that was the first time she felt what peace was. I cried when Nova died. that was just something else. I want to talk about the Tezarkane warriors, the humans, Sion Nero, Calixte, Zara, and the other guy, which I'm forgetting his name. They're just so, it's so fun to be with them. And Sion Nero, he's an arrogant in Stranger Dreamer, and then you see his character development in Muse of Nightmares. I'm like, he's turned into such a likable character, and it's just so fun to see him kind of get along with the Tezarkane warrior, to make friends with them. And obviously we have the lesbian love story between Calixte and Zara, and we have that amazing interaction between Calixte and Sion Nero where they talk about being cannibals. So they're talking about how there are different kinds of Farangis being foreigners, and there's good kinds and bad kinds, and Sion Nero is the bad kind and Calixte is the good kind. Oh yes, very good. I even taste good, so I'm told. This taste, I suppose they're cannibals. Who's calling them barbarians now? Cannibals, that's good. I'm going to start calling Zara that. My sweet cannibal. Can I tell you a secret? I'm a cannibal too. It's just so fun. I'll thank you to keep your private matters to yourself. Another character I want to talk about real quick is Ruby. She's not my favorite. She's a 16-year-old girl. What can you expect? Girl, you want him to like overlook your privacy and like take a peek at you? If you wanted him to like look at you naked, you could have just said it, because without doing it without consent is... We talked about consent quite a lot last week. I still didn't hate her. She was just annoying at times. But when she wasn't being annoying, she was still like really fun to read about. When she was like, hey, it's tea time, in between the fight Minya and Laszlo were having. If there's anyone else in this room who said that, it would just be passed off as ridiculous. But because Ruby did that, it came off handy, and Minya actually drank that tea, which is why we managed to drug her. So thank you. So those are all my thoughts about Muse of Nightmares. It's forever gonna be in my heart. It's so precious to me. It's such an important book to me. And also, the book's gorgeous. The sprayed edges, just... yes. Oh, and also the thing that I wanted to talk about was the record of the kids that we found in Scarthus's room. They also, I think, found this, which is the name of all the worlds in this world. So like all the parallel worlds, and then there's more in the first page, and then like once you decode them, you get to see the names of these worlds. I'm guessing that there is an Easter egg there for her other series, Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I mean, I haven't read Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy yet, which I will get to as soon as I can, but it was really nice. Like Zeru was the world of Weep and Zosma, which is where like, you know, the main story takes place, and then you have Var Eliant, which is where the slaves were sold by Scarthus, the Empty Realm, and it's so hard to pronounce. There's Milai, and then there's I'm gonna stop pronouncing them, but that was really fun to do. It's such a fun, beautiful, heartbreaking story. Anyway, so those are all my thoughts on Muse of Nightmares. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you've had as much fun as I had talking about Muse of Nightmares. Give it a like if you liked this, if you like seeing my clowny face. Let me know in the comment section if you have read this and what you thought about the book, and I will see you next weekend. Goodbye! Before we get into today's video today, so that's gonna have Stranger Dreamer spoilers. So last week, Muse of Nightmares, I almost called it Stranger Dreamer, damn it, man. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into this. I need to fucking hold this book properly already.